Hello and happy STAMPtember, friends! This is Yana Smakula, and today I'm super excited to show you one of the new STAMPtember exclusive collaboration sets called Life Happens by Colorado Craft Company. This is an adorable set illustrated by Anita Jeram, a world-renowned illustrator. I absolutely love Anita's illustrative style, and I always find it extremely enjoyable coloring the stamps based on her illustrations. In this set, you have darling mice who are ready to eat some chocolate and sweets, along with some birthday and chocolate-themed sentiments. Wishing you the sweetest birthday ever. Life happens, chocolate helps. Thanks a chocolate for all that you do. Anita's illustrations are very simple, but they have a ton of character and style to them. They're also very easy to color, and typically, the Colorado Craft Company packaging has examples of the colored illustrations on the packaging. Now, this particular packaging doesn't have illustrated examples because it's a Simon Says stamp packaging. But if you ever bought any Anita Jeram stamps by Colorado Craft Company, you can find beautifully colored examples on the back of the cardstock insert included with your stamp set. You can also go online and search for Anita Jeram illustrations to find some incredible examples, and I typically like to browse Pinterest for some great ideas. Coloring Anita's images is always a treat to me. They are very easy to color, and even a beginner can do that. So if you've never colored anything, if you're just starting to make cards, and if you would like to try your hand at coloring, these images are a great place to start and practice. I stamped the images in Memento Tuxedo Black onto Simon's 120-pound cardstock using my mini Misty. My impression isn't perfect, but that's okay, as I plan to stamp the outline once again once I'm done coloring, but then I'll use the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which will give me a much darker impression, and you'll see the difference once we get to that point. Now, Memento is a fantastic ink for coloring with Copic markers, and it will never bleed when you color with Copics. But it doesn't give you as black of an impression as does the VersaFine. So that's why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them in this video. Okay, speaking of coloring, I picked several colors of Copic markers to do very simple coloring and pretty much zero blending. First, I used the R20 marker to add a little bit of pink to the inside of the mice's ears and to their noses. Now, I didn't want to keep my mice white. I wanted them to have a little bit of color to them. So I picked several brown markers to add spots of brown to their fur. I started with E31, the lightest brown, and I simply colored sections, creating brown spots on the mice's fur. I don't know if there are spotted mice like that in real life, but there certainly are some on paper. Next, I used a brown marker, medium brown, E33, and added darker sections to the brown spots, and also added some freestanding E33 darker spots to the mice. You'll notice that I didn't blend the colors. I didn't need any gradual color transition, and that's the beauty of these illustrations. They look fantastic with minimum coloring effort. Next, I used E37 and added a few darkest spots. So this is my darkest marker. I still used 3 shades, a light, a medium, and dark, but I didn't blend the colors. I simply applied the color onto the paper and let the color sit there without blending it. Next, I grounded the images by adding a little bit of shadow using W1, W3, and W5 markers. Whenever I color Anita's illustrations, I like to go for very simple scenes, and I either add a little bit of ground under my critters like I'm doing here, or color in some grass and sky using green and blue markers. Now, the mice are holding some sweets, and there's no limit as to how you can color these. You can make them chocolate brown, or you can make them in all sorts of rainbow colors. I did try a few different color combinations before I settled on a super simple pink and yellow combo. Now, whenever I work with Anita Jeram stamps, I like to make very simple cards, but I do like to pop up part of the design, part of the card, by doing 3D decoupage. Now, what 3D decoupage is, you cut a part of the image out and foam mount it directly over the background, creating a raised image. making a part of your design popped up. So in this case, I stamped the sweets again onto another piece of paper. I did stamp them onto the same type of cardstock. I colored the images with Copic markers. I used pinks and yellows. My markers were Y35, Y08, and Y11 for the yellow combo, and RV00, RV10, and RV02 for the pink combo, as well as R22, R05, and R27 for the pop of red. With the coloring done, I popped the panel back inside my Misty stamping tool and I re-stamped the outline in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And once I finished stamping, you can see how big of a difference that makes. The VersaFine Onyx Black adds a very nice, very dark black outline. Next, I fussy cut the images out. It is a little bit of a tedious process, but it does make a big difference and adds a lot of interest to the card. And I foam mounted the images that I had cut out on top of my main image. So now we have parts of the design popped up. And that's 3D decoupage. It's very simplified on this particular example, but that's what I call 3D decoupage. To create a background for this card, I dry embossed a panel of sea glass cardstock from Simon Says Stamp using Spellbinder's striped slimline embossing folder. Now the folder is designed to work for slimline cards, hence the name of the folder, but this design can be continued for an A2 card. You just need to make sure that the lines on your background are straight. So make sure you're placing your cardstock straight into the embossing folder. You'll need to emboss the panel twice to cover the entire front, like so. Next, I adhered the background onto an A2 white top folding card base, and then I foam mounted my colored panel on top. I had already added a few scrap panels to the back of the colored panel to add dimension. I had 4 adhered there using glue, but that didn't feel like enough dimension to me, so I also used foam adhesive squares for even more dimension. Next, to dress up this card, I embellished it with sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and then I even added a couple of teal gems from Spellbinders to go together with the blue that I used for the background. Lastly, I used a white jelly roll pen from Sakura. This is in size 08, and I added highlights to my mice and to the sweets. I love doing this. It adds so much interest to my colored images. And finally, I coated the sweets with glossy accents to add glossy shine onto the card. If you do use glossy accents, remember to set your card aside and let it dry. Give the glossy accents a couple of hours, I would say, to properly dry and set. So here's a look at this card created with the STAMPtember exclusive Life Happens stamp set from Colorado Craft Company. If you make a card inspired by this video, we'd love it if you shared your project online and tagged us on social media. We always enjoy seeing what you guys are making. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet done so. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!